Hey, for you radio listeners, tomorrow, right, on K-Dawn, let me introduce your new K-Dawn radio host, Alan Stock.
Good to be here, Ed. Thank you for having me.
Hey, what can we expect on your show now?
I would say lifestyle, politics, and a lot of community involvement. A lot of discussion with and about veterans, and very similar to what I've been doing for almost 12 years here. Only, you know, there were little blips on the screen at various times because of other people's ideas of what I should be doing. Here, they're telling me to do what I think has got to be done, and I get the chance to be free. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, typically on radio, you don't have a lot of control of the type of program you want to do. Isn't that correct?
You know, when I started here over 12 years ago, my program director, Gavin Spittle, said, do the thing that you do best. And I quadrupled the ratings in the first 4 months. I mean, it was incredible. We had a great time. We also worked together as a team. It was a wonderful experience. And then as time went on, other things happened. Other program directors came aboard. They had their ideas. And then you're right, the control and the clamps began to come down. It was a lot of fun, but also, you know, there are ups and downs throughout the time, and I'm so looking forward to start the show tomorrow at K-Dawn. It's a local station that is very supportive, and also that's allowing me to be who I am. I'm a conservative. I mean, you know, you and I have, you know, our discussions and our differences on politics, and I'm a conservative. And where I came from, they wanted less conservative talk. They wanted also, quite frankly, the idea was to get rid of people who were older. They wanted males who were 38 years old. And that means that you let your 50 and 60 and 70-year-old audiences go. And I've been to events since I left the other station where I've seen a lot of my listeners, and they are 50, 60, and 70, and they were lamenting the fact that I was gone. And these people will stay with me and go with me to, you know, to K-Dawn. I'm not going to get rid of those people. I mean, you want to attract new listeners, obviously, but you don't turn off the people that you've been talking with and have been loyal to you for 12 years. You just don't do that.
How do the demographics break down on radio? It seems to me like you know, my teenage girls are on, you know, certain, you know, hip hop kind of music. Would never think about listening to talk radio. You mentioned that older people, I guess, tend to gravitate toward talk radio and news shows, right? And what is the 38-year-old? What are they looking for?
Well, what they want is, people go to talk radio because they want to know what's going on. They have some kind of an investment. I mean, that with family or property, homes or jobs or whatever. But there's an investment. They want to know how are the events that are going on right now affecting me and my future and my kids' future. I mean, this is what people are looking for, and this is what we're talking about all the time on the air. And you do want to be able to address the issues of people who are in their 20s and 30s when they have families, but also the same goes with people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and even older. And so you don't want to, again, push the people away who've been loyal to you, but you want to be able to attract a new audience as well. And the attitude of the place that I came from was, you know, you let the older people just get rid of them. Get rid of them. We don't want them. Don't want them on the air. Don't want them to call.
Because of the advertisers are not that interested in them.
Yeah, and the irony of most of the advertisers were getting their response from the listeners who were from 40s, 50s, 60s, and on up. I mean, those are the people, if you have a house and you want to get insulation, you call the people who do insulation. I mean, it's that kind of a thing. Right. Yeah.
Where do you see all this going with, you know, the internet and satellite radio and the combination of using internet and iTunes and iPhones?
I think that the phones, the iPhones, and the so-called smartphones are going to become much bigger than they are right now. I think they are becoming big, but going to be much bigger. I know people who have computers no more. They don't have any computers. They're doing everything on a phone. I mean, I have computers and I have my phones and my BlackBerry and everything like that, but these people actually do everything on a phone. Their emails, their web searching, Facebooking, tweeting, everything you can imagine is all being done by phones. I think that is the future. People are listening to shows, talk radio on cell phones as well, on smartphones. The internet, I think people will be doing more podcasting on the internet. That's going on. And as far as well, Howard Stern left so-called terrestrial radio to go to satellite, and they found out that they couldn't take all those people with them. I mean, people have to buy equipment, have to subscribe to it, and it is more of a chore than it is just to turn on your radio in your car on AM or FM, and you've got the station right there.
But with the satellite, you can turn it on anywhere you are.
You can.
If I want to listen to Alan Stock, I just have to listen to you in the Southern Nevada market.
Right, 7:20 a.m. exactly. Yes.
At what time?
At 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock.
Right.
Just
a little shameless plug, yeah.
But what do you think of Howard Stern?
I think Howard Stern had been very, very, very good for radio, especially while he was on terrestrial radio. He brought people to the table, and I think bringing people to the table is a good thing. Again, it's not a matter of who you are, what you do, or your politics even. I mean, if you're a good talk show host and you can bring people to the table, I think that's good. You look at someone like Rush Limbaugh. I mean, why is he successful? Because he's conservative? No, because he's very, very entertaining. Stephanie Miller. Do you know who Stephanie Miller is?
Yeah, I don't know her, but
Stephanie Miller is a liberal talk show host. She's the daughter of William E. Miller, as a matter of fact. Remember the Goldwater Miller campaign from 1964? You don't remember, but I mean,
no, I remember.
Yeah, okay.
I remember. He ran for vice president.
Ran for vice president. Yeah. His daughter Stephanie Miller is a liberal. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I see her every year at the Talkers Convention in New York, and I say to her every year, you are one of the best in the country. She's entertaining. Not because she's liberal, or not because Rush is. You've got to be entertaining, and she is so entertaining, so funny, and she's a great host. So, it's not politics. It's trying to be entertaining first. You've got to be entertaining. Howard Stern was very entertaining on terrestrial radio because he used to go up to the, he used to go to the edge of the envelope, go up to the line, didn't cross it over. But is he going to say it? Is he going to do it? People were wondering, and then he'd have to pull back. And if he didn't, well, his company would get a fine. Right. So this is how he went on. He's on satellite now. You know what? Every other word out of his mouth is the F-bomb. So it's no longer trying to walk up to that line and, is he going to do it? He does it all the time. So I know people who used to listen to him all the time are going, it's boring now.
Because there's no risk.
Well, there's no risk. There's no challenge. Is it going to happen? Where's the entertainment value? Just to hear somebody drop those words every other sentence or whatever, it after a while becomes, they're not going to cross the line. I mean, they're not going to come up the line. They're going to cross it automatically. So you don't care.
What did you think of, I mean, you were very vocal during the last election, particularly with Sharron Angle and Harry Reid. And, had Sharron Angle won, this country would be in a whole different situation right now, and not necessarily a positive one.
Well, I think we would have been in a more positive situation. I mean, look what's going on. 2 days ago, or a few days ago, the market went way down. 600 points, whatever it was, and then the next day it went back up, and the next day it went back down again. I mean, it's fluctuated a lot. The confidence level of the president just came out a few days ago, is the lowest it's ever been in his entire tenure. One of the lowest for any presidents ever, and. I think we've got a real problem here. If Sharron Angle had won, I think things would have been different, but we still would have had Barack Obama as president. And so would things have changed that much? And Sharron Angle, nice gal, I've known her for a lot of years. The campaign that they ran was a terrible campaign, and I would tell that to her face.
What is your feelings about the Tea Party?
The Tea Party is a groundswell of people doing something because they feel it, a gut level feeling. On April 15th, 2009, right after Barack Obama became president, we held the first, the radio station I was at the time, hosted the first Tea Party gathering ever in the state of Nevada. It was out at Sunset Park. And they expected, we expected maybe a few hundred people if we were lucky. We had several thousand people show up that day because people were angry, they were concerned, They didn't like the direction that Obama was already talking about going in right after he became president. The Tea Party itself, there is no formal Tea Party. There's no, no charter or anything like that. Nobody carries cards, no card-carrying members, anything. It's a matter of people just gathering together because we share a like concern. There are organizations that use Tea Party and then other names with them that are formalized organizations. But the Tea Party itself, just an expression that people have, they're concerned. So when politicians come out and say the Tea Party are traitorous, the Tea Party are the ones who caused this problem, this economic problem, I mean, it's a lot of malarkey. That's not the Tea Party that caused it. It's the economic situation that's occurred because of Barack Obama and his minions that have brought this about. And I understand, people could look at the last few years of George W. Bush, who, like Richard Nixon, wanted to go down in history, in a positive way, and so he thought the way to do that was to garner, his goodwill with Hollywood and with the mainstream liberal media, basically. And he tried that, and he began to screw things up in the last couple of years. Barack Obama has done an abysmal job. I think the only person that's really happy right now that Barack Obama is president is Jimmy Carter. Because he's saying to himself, I'm not the worst president ever. Thank God I'm not the worst president ever. So I think he's happy about it.
Has Obama surprised you regarding his positions with Afghanistan war, in Iraq, that type of thing?
Oh, yeah. People
thought he was going to be a little bit more passive in that regard, and he's been as aggressive, if not more so, than the previous administration.
But he's been just as bad in prosecuting those wars as George W. Bush was. I mean, they both have been very bad at it, okay? Obama with Afghanistan and Iraq, we're trying to nation build. We're not just trying to get the terrorists, we're trying to nation build. This is the intent of George W. Bush too. And I oppose that. You don't go into another culture and say, here we are, like Mighty Mouse, we're going to save the day.
Yeah. Yeah, do it our way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you cannot do that. I don't like the fascism that comes out of the Muslim countries that beat and kill women, that treat them literally like second and third class citizens. I don't like that. Nobody likes that. But are we going to go around the world and try to, quote unquote, democratize the world in our likeness? Are we going to do that? And W said yes, and Obama says yes. And so there's no difference when it comes to those two. We've got to get somebody who says, you know what, we've got Osama bin Laden. That was the reason that we got in there in the first place. He's dead. All right, now let's get out of there. You probably agree with that.
I do agree with that. And I think that would certainly help the economy too.
I think it would too. I think you're absolutely correct.
Put that money into building roads like we did after the Second World War.
You know what? After World War II, the other thing that helped was that we gave a lot of benefits to military who came back from the war. And we appreciated what they did. And they bought houses. My folks bought a house in Southern California on a GI Bill. Now, it wasn't just that they bought the house. My dad got a job in Southern California. People had to build that house. And it wasn't the government building it, it wasn't the government doing it. This is a result of the government being able to respect the military, give them the money, and they went ahead and bought houses. People built them. I mean, we've got to be able to get back to giving benefits to and tax breaks to businesses, and also I think we've got to honor our commitment to the military. And I don't think that that's been going on the Democrats or Republicans for a long time.
You know, earlier this year, I went to a 3-day seminar on veterans benefits. I had never been so ashamed of our country after listening to horror story and how convoluted the laws are and the regulations and the time it takes for veterans to get benefits for war-related injuries. These are people who've come back from the war, injured, and spent years trying to get multiple appeals, trying to get benefits. It's sickening. It really is. It's embarrassing that this is our country sometimes, and the way we do treat veterans.
See, again, here you are. Yeah. You and I agree on this 100%. We have a Veterans Day parade every year. You know that.
Outside my office. up and down 4th Street. Yeah.
And you know this, that this is the largest Veterans Day parade west of the Mississippi. CNN has said this. It's the second largest in the nation, the largest being in New York. This year, on 11/11, of course, is the 100th anniversary of what was Armistice Day and is now Veterans Day. And we will have one of the biggest parades that anyone has ever seen. I mean, we're already planning this. I'm working with the folks with VFW Post 1753 right now, my VFW post. We're working on this now, and it's going to be absolutely huge. I want you to be in there. I'm the MC every year. I'm honored to be the MC to honor the men and women in uniform, and also all the young people who come by are on the ROTCs from all the different schools. The parade is 2.5 hours long. Not because we drag it out, but because there's so many participants, so many young people that are involved in this. I want, like you, invite you right now to be on the review stand with me, to be able to see it from beginning to end. It'll absolutely blow your mind to see what we get to see there. And we do have, at the very beginning of the parade, before the mayor and anybody else, we have the Wounded Warriors coming down. We bring in, along with some of the hotels and the resorts, bring in Wounded Warriors, and they sit right in the front of where the review stand is, and they watch everybody come on by. You're invited to come on.
And I'll be happy to be there. I mean, it's in past years, that review stand is right across the street from our office. So, so we do have a seat, normally from the other direction, but we do have a seat there.
This year you'll be with me, see how I see it. It'll blow your mind, and you'll be choked up in your throat. And you're right, we don't treat the veterans right in this country, and that's a shameful, shameful thing. And I think that our politicians, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, and conservatives, ought to put all the crap aside and do what they can for our veterans. And listen, in my opinion, I believe that when you come back after you've put your life in the line, I think that, you know, I would give you a house with a down payment. You never have to pay a down payment. You want to go to college, we pay for the whole thing. Medical care, health care, the rest of your life, free, entirely. Now, some people might think that that's socialism or it's handouts. These people put their lives on the line for this country, and we owe them.
I couldn't agree more. You ever think about running for, getting involved in politics, running for office?
Absolutely not. You know, I watched people like you go through what you went through, and you're an honorable guy, and look what you went through when you ran. I would never think about it. I've got a great job, and tomorrow I start at a grateful, terrific station, and I'm grateful to be with these people. Tom Hum and some of those folks over there, Heidi Harris I worked with years ago. These folks were born and raised here. They understand Las Vegas. I've been here 12 years and understand it. The place that I came from, these folks came from outside. They came from other parts of the country, and they couldn't even pronounce Nevada, and they're walking around with saying Nevada. So to be able to go to a station like this, I am totally grateful.
Now, are you and Heidi aren't going to work at the same time?
No.
Different shows.
Right.
But at one time you did work together.
We did. We did. And we actually had the #1 ratings in April, just before she left.
Right.
We were ahead of everybody, ahead of Rush and Howard Stern and everybody else. We beat everyone. And then she elected to leave because she felt that the environment with our program director at the time was not the best, and she was right.
And she couldn't bring her dogs to work. Right? No, I'm kidding. I know she's a big dog lover.
She's a big dog lover, and she surprised me one day, called me up one day, I was taking a nap, and said, "Come on down, Stocko, I got something I want you to see." And I went down to my daughter's store, and she was there. I thought, in the middle of the day, what's going on? And she had a bag, like a Safeway shopping bag, and she gave it, nobody was in the whole place, and she gave it to me, and I looked into it, and there was a little furry thing there. I don't know what it was. And I picked it up, and it was a little Sharrini, a Shih Tzu Pomeranian, 6 weeks old. I told her she was nuts. I'm not going to take a dog home, and I gave it back to her. Well, I got home, and she sent me some pictures, you know, emailed me some pictures. Right. And the next day, I said to her, call her up, and I said, all right. And the next day, Brian came down, her husband came down, and brought our little Daisy in a cage, and so I'm grateful today. A lot of people thought she was nuts for doing that. You don't give somebody a dog, but you know what? I'm still grateful, and she can see Daisy anytime she wants to.
I have a Daisy too.
Oh, see, there you go.
A little bit bigger though. Retriever. So okay, so come tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you do on your? What's the first thing you say on your show tomorrow?
Gee, but it's great to be back home. You know, I mean, really is sitting behind a microphone talking about the issues, and also to express my sense of gratitude for a station that's appreciative for me being there, and I'm appreciative that they would have me. I'm at the same station that my rabbi has a show on every Sunday, and my rabbi has been a great source of strength for me. Not only in the last few weeks, but I mean in the last several years, I've been learning with him, and it's one of the greatest experiences I've had in my life.
Since you bring up religion, let's talk about what kind of relationship should religion and politics have? Religion and government, I should say.
Religion and government. Government should never prohibit the free exercise of religion. Government should never, ever, ever prohibit the free exercise of religion. I don't believe in shoving, of having the government shove religion down people's throat. This is not England. You know, I'm not talking about that. But government should not prohibit the free expression of, and that's in our Constitution. And yet government does that. They prohibit the free expression of religion. When they tell a valedictorian who's giving a speech, you cannot mention that you're thanking God for being where you are right now. We ought to all thank God every day. And to say you can't do that in a public forum when you're giving a speech as a valedictorian, I think is a shameful thing. I think that people should be allowed to express their sense of appreciation. You know, we're bending over backwards now to make sure that atheists have their way. I just read a few days ago that there's going to be some big concert that's going to be on a military base that's going to be for atheists and agnostics. And they're making a big deal about this. Well, okay, fine. Let them have it, okay? But don't prohibit people of faith, whether it's Judaism, my faith, or whether it's Christianity, somebody else's faith. Let them, you know, have their concerts and their expression also. I mean, I just think that it's wrong. And the ACLU has bent over backwards to make sure that to destroy religion in this country. I think it's a shameful thing. And there are some areas I agree with the ACLU on, but when it comes to the expression of religion, I think they've been horrible.
We have a lot of jockeying going on politically right now in Nevada, particularly for congressional spots where nobody really even knows where those boundaries may or may not be in Congress. Just your thoughts on you know, what was the big deal? Why can't we get boundaries together? And, you know, why can't we agree on getting congressional boundaries? And B, how do you handicap the races?
Two things on the boundaries themselves, and again, it's not just from my political perspective. If it was reversed, I would have understood the upset as well. But the Democrats who wanted to draw the boundaries, the new boundaries for the new decade, wanted to have 3 and 1. It looks like we're going to have a new congressional district, right? Right. So they wanted 3 and 1, 3 Democrat-oriented districts and 1 for Republican. Republicans wanted to draw it, so it would be basically 2 and 2. And I'm saying it should be 2 and 2. I mean, give 2 to the Democrats and 2 to the Republicans. That is the fairest way to do it. And the Democrats were saying no, we want 3 to 1. Yeah, I mean they just were not willing to play ball, so to speak. How I look at the election right now, I think that when everything shakes out, Mark Amadei will become the next congressman from CD2, replacing Dean Heller, who replaced John Ensign, of course. And I think Joe Heck will win re-election as well. And then I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Dina Titus elects to run for Shelley Berkeley's seat. Right. It's a safe Democrat seat, and Shelley's running for the Senate against Heller, and that's going to be a huge battle. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dina Titus runs there. And in the other race, it's going to be tough. Republicans don't have anyone really to run in that new congressional area. Mike Montanan name comes to mind, former mayor of North Las Vegas, would be a strong candidate, but I don't know if he wants to get back into politics that way. And then there are other Democrats, Horsford and some of the other names who've been mentioned that they're looking forward to run for the 4th You're not thinking about it, are you?
No. But I'm sitting here thinking all the radio revenue your station will get as a result of all the political ads. There'll be a lot of them.
Radio, television, and newspaper. Yeah, of course, they all reap benefits from that.
Yeah. Shelley Berkeley is somebody that of all the Democrats, I think that you have probably a lot of more respect for Shelley than you typically have for Democrats.
Personally, I love some of my best friends are Democrats. Ed, I mean, Shelley Berkeley, I love her. I mean, she's a friend of mine. I do like her very, very much. I also know that she's voted with Barack Obama 95% of the time. I know she can't stand his stance on Israel, and he's the most anti-Israeli president we've ever had in this history, since Israel's been in existence. I mean, I think you have to agree with that. And the speech that he gave was about pre-1967 boundaries. What people forgot about that, and I wrote an op-ed piece that was in the RJ, but people forgot about that. It wasn't the pre-67 boundaries that people should have been paying attention to. What he said in that speech, and you can go back and look exactly what he said that there should be a contiguous Palestinian state from Gaza to the West Bank. You've been to Israel.
Right.
And a contiguous state from Gaza to the West Bank means what? That means you cut Israel right in half.
And Jerusalem.
Right. But you cut Israel in half. You have it separated. That's crazy. So Obama, bad, evil. Okay, and I think most people see that. Shelley doesn't like his position on Israel, and she's right. But she's voted with him 95% of the time otherwise. And Heller is back there, I think, representing the libertarian nature, the true Nevada nature of this state back in D.C. But it's, you know what? It's not his and it's not hers. It's both theirs. They're going to battle it out, and it's going to be probably the most fascinating battle since Angle and Reed.
And if you want to hear more fascinating stories, Alan Stock tomorrow morning.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, KDON, and
7:20 a.m.
7:20 a.m.
Right, absolutely.
Good luck, Alan. Great to see you back. I'll
you
be
know
listening
what? It's
tomorrow
great
morning.
seeing you too. The best to you, Ed.
Thank you.
Be sure to visit us online for more information about today's guests, to see past shows, or even contact us about being on the show. Simply go to theedbernsteinshow.com. That's theedbernsteinshow.com.